The COVID-19 caused by a coronavirus has led to a pandemic that threatens everyone. The overriding strategy to limit the damage and to beat this pandemic is to flatten the curve. According to the Department of Health, the total number of COVID-19 cases in the Philippines as of May 16, 2022 is 3,688,292. The total number of people who died from this pandemic is 60,458. Lastly, the total number of people who have been fully vaccinated is 68.5 million. Currently, the population vaccination rate is 62.5%. Now let's see some examples of countries that have successfully flattened their curves. First up, Singapore. In June 2020, Singapore only had 38,965 COVID cases with only 25 deaths. And in February 2021, they only had minimal changes with a total of 59,832 COVID cases with only 29 deaths. Singapore was among the first countries hailed as winner for its pandemic response and a well-deserved reputation on the back of its aggressive approach to contact tracing, which included scanning people's IDs at supermarkets and widespread testing. In retrospect, Singapore was well-positioned to outperform others in this pandemic response, given its previous lessons learned from the SARS epidemic. Its small size and centralized nanny-state approach not just to healthcare crises, but other facets of policy as well. The government built temporary bed spaces at breakneck speeds to house COVID-19 patients, keeping the casualty rate low of 0.1% of confirmed cases.
Moving on to the second country, Australia. In June 2020, Australia only had 7,276 COVID cases with 102 deaths. And in February 2021, they also only had small changes with a total of 28,912 COVID cases with 909 deaths. It is hard to look good in battling COVID-19 when your neighbor is New Zealand. But Australia has done a decent job managing it. Australia opted for early measures to keep transmission at a minimum, which largely worked, limiting travel both from outside country and within it. When new cases did pop up, authorities moved quickly to shut things down, as seen recently in Melbourne. Again, the lack of cases and deaths has dampened the sense of urgency around vaccination drives, but Australia's not falling too hard behind either.
For the last country, Monaco, in June 2020, they had one of the smallest numbers of COVID cases in the world, with a total of 72 cases and only one death. And for February 2021, they also had a slight change in their COVID cases, with a total of 399 cases and only 10 deaths. When COVID cases arose in the country, the government imposed restrictions on March 14th, all for the safety of its citizens. Schools and other academic establishments were closed. Most sports events were cancelled. Restrictions were placed on visiting homes for the elderly, and gatherings with more than 100 people were prohibited. Travel both outside of the house and outside of the country was limited to only essential needs. The government would assist businesses in order to ensure the economy's stability, and citizens were urged to be responsible and have faith in the hospital. And judging by Monaco's state today, you can clearly see these safety protocols work. There have only been 12,006 COVID cases and 56 deaths since the pandemic began. As of now, 83.6% of the country's population has been vaccinated.
Now here are some key factors to flatten the curve. Social distancing. Always wearing face masks when going outside your house and always washing your hands. These refer to measures aimed at reducing close contact between people. That is why governments are closing schools, non-critical businesses, and other places where people gather, like sporting and social events. By limiting interactions between individuals, we can limit the spread of the disease. Therefore, it's so important to educate as many people in the community as possible through online education, news articles, and even social media posts. Let's help beat COVID-19 and flatten our country's curve.